Today we're going to do one on Rocky, my old next door neighbor. Obviously, if I'm going to do a video about a guy, he's got honorable mention. So Rocky was a wild fellow. Rocky was roughly 60-something years old. I think he was 67. And I met him while mowing my yard one day. We were neighbors. We would mow the yard together on Saturday mornings. And Rocky would start drinking the second he'd come out of the house. Like 9, 10 in the morning, he'd come out with beers and offer me some. I wouldn't drink with him, but I entertained him nevertheless. So Rocky wound up being a very unusual person. He had a lot of insane, crazy stories as well. Rocky was a very interesting guy. Very interesting man. Rocky was an Olympic weightlifter in his day. Rocky was the bartender at the Gold Club, which is the hottest strip joint in Atlanta. Back in the day, the days of when he was running this, it was run by the mafia, and he used to tell me all these outlandish, crazy stories, and I knew he was telling the truth. So, first off, we got to talking, and he was a big drinker, and he liked UFC fights, and so did I. So, we bonded over that. So we started going to Hooters together. Sometimes his wife went, but usually not. So now me and Rocky, me and this old man are going to Hooters and watching UFC fights together and drinking. We get to make it a thing, ritual. Every fight, Rocky's coming to my house. He's as excited as I am. I can remember a time or two where I had gotten home late from work, and I caught him coming off my front porch, like he had come to my house, knock on the door, see if I was going or not. So he really liked the fights as much as I did. So we would go to the fights together. Before I started going with Rocky, I would go to the fights too, but I got there quite later. The fights don't start till about 10, right? So Rocky wants to get there at 6:30. Rocky wants to get the front table, the best seat in the house. I'm not about that. I get there at 10 and I might have a couple beers, and by the time it's over, 12, 1 a.m., I'm tanked or buzzed, whatever, but I would have never got there that early. So a few of these times I went with Rocky and we got there at 6:30. And by the time the fights had started, we'd already drinking like 8 pitchers. So a lot of these nights we went home smashed, shit-faced, tore up bad. We lived about 3 miles down the road, but where we lived and the location we were at was horrible. The Hooters was in Kennesaw, and it was right off a main road, your main highway that goes through Kennesaw. It's called Highway 41. It's right on 41. And right behind it is Cowboys, okay? Cowboys is like the biggest country bar in that part of Atlanta. Maybe in the state at one time, but Cowboys is, country bar, and it's huge and it's massive and thousands of people. Not really my cup of tea, but, this place has thousands of people there on Friday and Saturday nights. So what I'm getting at is there's police for days in the entire vicinity of this place, because you're talking hundreds of thousands of people drinking on the weekend. You got the hell of drunks coming out of there. So you got cops on every road. Any way you pull out of there, you're going to pass the police, right? They got traps set up, and it's just a night known that if you're going to drink, get a driver, because very good chances that you're going to get pulled over. And if you're drunk, you definitely get pulled over. So we have these wild nights. We go out, we drink. And Rocky starts to tell me about himself. And come to find out, Rocky was the doorman, the bar back and doorman at the Gold Club in Atlanta. Okay, this was the hottest strip club in Atlanta for many years. It was run by the mob. Um, they had, they had prostitution going on there. This has already been said and dealt with, so I'm not ratting, snitching on nobody. The feds came in and shut the place down many, many moons ago. I'm going back. I couldn't give you a date and a time. If you're that interested, you can find this information online. But back in the day, the mafia used to own and run the Gold Club, and there was a lot of cocaine going out of there. There was a lot of talks of prostitution. There was talks of, and this is what I knew before Rocky ever even filled me in on this. There was talks of politicians and state officials coming in there and getting greased, and they're passing, they don't have no problems, and these state officials are getting their jollies, going back in the VIP room. This place was being allowed to peddle drugs and women for many years because there was state officials in there. This is how these type of deals run. These are backdoor treaties and dealings that you rarely hear about. And when you do, someone usually winds up dying. So anyways, Rocky worked the door at this place, right? And he's telling me about all this. And the drunker he gets, and the more comfortable he gets as time goes on, he's telling me more and more and more, telling me about these city officials. He's giving me a couple of names. And crazy, wild shit, This man's telling me some gnarly shit. And so he goes on to tell me that, okay, when girls hang out with each other a lot, ask your mom, ask your wife, ask whatever woman. If you're a woman, you don't know this. If you're a guy, go ask someone. They'll tell you this is right. When women start to hang out with each other and they spend a lot of time together, they start to have their periods together at the same exact time. Like I said, you can ask any woman, they'll tell you this is true. Women that bond together, they start to have their period together at the same time. He says all these chicks in here, they're all PMSing, they're all ragging out all at the same time. He says he remembers this one time, it was a Sunday afternoon and they were closed, and all these girls were in there. They were going to be open that night, but they said the whole place was crawling with a bunch of strippers, and they all were PMSing at the same time. He said it smelled like a bloodbath in there. He said it was the most disgusting, heinous shit. He said the girls, were getting rid of their bloody tampons, and a lot of them are gross and nasty. You're talking about strippers and some prostitutes. There ain't no telling. He said it was the nastiest thing he'd ever dealt with. He said the whole place smelled like fish, nasty bitches, and they're all laid up all over those couches and stuff. He said they're laid up all over the place, and they're naked, and they're all in bad moods and bitchy and whiny and yada yada yada. But it was an entertaining story. So he tells me about that. He tells me about all the city officials, all this shit that goes down, all these backdoor treaties and deals. This was at a time that this wasn't soon after this that, like I said, the feds came in and shut them down. They shut them down, arrested people. This is how this type of shit works. Everyone, has any knowledge. Us older people know all this shit. This is how the real world runs, right? So he tells me this, and like I said, he had told me a couple names, and so he tells me also the place is run by the mob, right? He runs the door. His job is to, of course, he's the doorman, but that's not his only job. He's got another job. he's the bone breaker. Rocky's the tough guy. Rocky's the you don't pay, he beats your ass. That's who he is. So he tells me one night, probably one of the craziest stories I've heard yet. This is a golden. So he tells me one night, it's a Friday night, it's busy, it's packed, and he's working the door, and his boss comes up to him and says, "We need you tonight. We need you right now." And he said, "Huh? What? What are you talking about?" He said, "We need you to come with us and go take care of somebody. Somebody hasn't paid us. Someone's not paying." So he says, okay. He goes, and he says he freshens up, and he goes with these guys. He says he knows they're all mob. As soon as they pull out of the place, there's police out there. There's a cop car out there. He says he's not thinking a whole lot of it, but he sees the police car. They pull out of there. Now he notices when he gets in his car and leaves. Now he's noticed that the police are following them. So he says he's in the back seat. He turns around and looks back. He says he's nervous now. Police follow him, and he was in the back seat. The two guys driving the front seat. Don't worry about it, Rocky. No problem. They're with us. So he chills out. They go. They take him to this guy who he gets out of the car. He goes up to the guy, knocks on his door. The guy opens the door. He pulls him out of his house. He beats the shit out of him right there. Beats him within an inch of his life. The cops that have followed him come over and arrest him, take him to jail. They've already got this all already worked out at the police station. Good. Those cops arrest him, take him handcuffs down to the station. They go down there, do paperwork, bond him out, and he's back at work in an hour. Honest to God. Yeah, that's one of the best ones I've ever heard. He was back at work in an hour. They had all that shit already figured out, planned out. Is that some crazy wacky shit? So that can give you an idea, because most of you know what jail is about. If you don't know, when you go to jail, you don't just get out. You have to get a bond set. That takes time. Sometimes it can take 10, 12 hours to get a bond set. Sometimes you don't get a bond. There's 1,000,001 different reasonings. And so that's unheard of. Like, I've been to jail several times, and the quickest I ever got out was like 8 to 10 hours. That's having everything, having money, and that's someone getting on it immediately, is what I'm saying. So you can't get out of there in less than 4 or 5 hours. It's not virtually possible. He had it already arranged where he was already back at work in an hour. Craziness. So this was the type of guy that Rocky was, right? Right. Rocky was a fighter. Rocky was the barman. Rocky was a drunk. Rocky was rowdy. So, one night, we're at Hooters, okay? It's me and Rocky, and I'm meeting some friends of mine there. This is a big fight. I'm meeting my friend Wendell and Tony. It's Wendell and Tony. Wendell's stepdaughter and her husband. And there's somebody else. There was 5 of them, believe me, 2 of us. So me and Rocky had been there since 6:30, like I said. So we already had tables. So when my friends get there at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, I've already got some tables set up, saved. So they pull up, and me and Wendell and Tony and Rocky sit down and we're drinking. We're drinking. So we get up for a cigarette break, and we go out. There's a part of the bar at Hooters, where you're outside, but you're still in the restaurant. You go out the doors. It's like like covered patio. Well, you can go out there and smoke. So we go out to have Rocky doesn't smoke, but me and Wendell and Tony do. Me and Wendell and Tony go out and have our smoke out in the covered deck. We're out there smoking, and this guy comes in. and he's walking around, and he's going like this. He's doing this. He's doing all this gay shit with his hands right in your face. He came up to me and did it, and I put my hand on his chest, and I pushed him back. He came over to Wendell and did it, and started doing that shit. Wendell pushed him back. He came over there, and he was doing the shit to Tony. Tony didn't do nothing. So he sat there and kept on. Tony's was being like, I don't want to call him being a little bitch, but it's pretty much being a little bitch. This guy's right in his face doing all this gay shit, and he's real close in his face and doing all this. And me and Wendell are sitting there, and we're looking at Tony, we're looking at this guy, we're saying, do something, dude. Like, we're giving Tony the eat shit look now, like, do something, bro. Do something, protect yourself. We're not going to do nothing, but Tony's just sitting there just being a bitch, not doing nothing, right? So he keeps on with this, and I go and put my hand on his chest, and I push him back, and I give him like an eat shit look. And, because Tony's not going to do nothing for himself. He's going to sit there and let this guy bitch him. So this guy goes off, we finish our cigarette, we go back in the building. Now we're in the building. Now take in mind, Rocky's in there, and he's drunk as shit. This guy walks around the restaurant a time or two, doing it to other people. Other people are shooing him away the same. He makes his way back around the bar. He gets right back to us. Now he's back around. Now he's back doing the shit in Tony's face. Okay, he comes right up to Tony and is doing all this, was putting his hands this close to Tony's face, almost hitting him in the face and shit, doing all this gay shit, right in his face. And he wasn't doing nothing about it. So then Rocky stands up, and he grabs the guy's shirt, and he pushes him. Grabs a hold of his shirt and pushes him, but he's got him in like a fist, and I know he's about to hit him. So I grab Rocky's other arm and said, "Whoa, chill out, Rock. It's all good. We'll handle this. It's cool." So we all give the guy a shove, like, go on. And we all mean mug him, like, trying to let him know if you come back, you're going to get your ass whooped. Same thing happens. He makes his way around the bar, makes his way back around. He makes his way back around, comes right up to Tony again, gets right in Tony's face again, starts on with this shit. And it wasn't, in the blink of an eye, Rocky jumps up, grabs dudes by the shirt, and fucking gives him all he can, and hits the dude, power bombs him, Like I said, this guy Rocky was 60 years old, but he was an Olympic weightlifter at one time. Dude's arms are like tree trunks, you know what I'm saying? So even just a baby hit, Rocky's going to do damage, and he hits him, and I hear just that gnar sound, just boom, and he hits him, and he's hitting him, and he's hitting him, and he's got his shirt, and now I'm trying to withstand Rocky, and he's overpowering me. He's still swinging, and now I had to have Wendell and Tony over here to help me grab him, right? We grab him, we subdue Rocky, we get him calmed down, and we take, me and Wendell take Buddy by his shirt. We both had both of our hands on this guy. We run this guy out the door. Like I said, there's a covered area for smoking. We open that door and rush that dude out the fucking building and push him out into the smoking area, covered deck. And he tries to come back in, and we're holding the bar. We're holding the door. Me and Wendell are holding the door so the dude can't get in, right? And so by this time, the security guards walk around. The security bouncer comes up to us, and he's like, "What's the problem? What's going on here? Blah blah blah." And I said, "This guy's rowdy. He's being drunk. He's being rowdy. He's going to still be starting fight. He's starting shit." The guy says, "No, I heard someone beat somebody up over here. What's going on?" And I said, "I don't know, dude. This guy was being a drunk idiot. So we're holding the door so he can't come in here." And he says, "Who's the one starting the fight?" I said, "I don't know." The guy goes, the security guard goes around from table to table now. The security guard goes from table to table asking everybody who did it. who's the one that punched the guy. The guy's face was mangled, and nobody would tell. There was about 4 or 5 tables standing around at the exact same moment that this was going on. There was like 4 or 5 other tables, surrounding tables, where all those people had seen this, all of it transpire. They seen the part with him doing his hands in Tony's face and Tony not doing nothing about it. So when this security guard went around and was asking tables, every single one of those people told me didn't know what he was talking about and looked back over at us and was smiling. It was nice. Rocky was a madman. That's it for Rocky. Thank you.